In a dramatic shift in U.S.-China relations, China has accused the United States of a grave backpedal regarding its stance on Taiwan following the U.S. State Department's recent revision of its fact sheet on Taiwan. This change has raised concerns about the potential implications for Taiwan's sovereignty and the already tense dynamics in the Taiwan Strait. On February 17, 2025, China's foreign ministry expressed its discontent with the U.S. removing a key phrase from its official communications: "We do not support Taiwan independence." Ministry spokesperson Wei Jiaquan stated the United States has gravely backpedaled on its position on Taiwan and sent the wrong message to separatist forces on the island. This remark underscores Beijing's fears that the U.S. may be encouraging Taiwanese independence movements which it vehemently opposes. Taiwan, which split from China in 1949 during a civil war, maintains its own government and military but has not declared formal independence. The U.S. does not officially recognize Taiwan as a sovereign state, yet it remains its strongest ally and primary arms supplier. The alteration in the U.S. stance has caused alarm in Taiwan as well, particularly under the new administration of President Donald Trump, who has recently returned to the White House. Taiwan's government responded positively to the updated language, viewing it as reflective of a close partnership with the U.S., although concerns linger about Trump's commitment compared to former President Joe Biden. The U.S. State Department had previously removed the independence clause in May 2022. Only to restore it after protests from China. The current omission raises questions about whether this indicates a broader shift in U.S. foreign policy towards Taiwan under Trump's leadership. The revised fact sheet comes at a time when tensions have escalated in the region, with China conducting increased military exercises around Taiwan, which is home to 23 million people. Wei Jiaquan urged the U.S. to stop emboldening and supporting Taiwan independence to avoid further destabilizing China-U.S. relations and the peace in the Taiwan Strait. Adding to the geopolitical complexity, discussions at the China Conference, Southeast Asia 2025 in Kuala Lumpur highlighted the shifting power dynamics in the region. Experts noted that Southeast Asian nations are navigating a landscape marked by uncertainty regarding the U.S. commitment to regional security amid Trump's focus on tariffs and economic nationalism. Thitinan Ponsudarak, a political analyst at Chulalongkorn University, emphasized that ASEAN countries are in a precarious position balancing their relationships with both China and the United States. As regional tensions mount, both China and the U.S. are re-evaluating their strategies. The U.S. is expected to continue its support for Taiwan, albeit cautiously, while China may intensify its military presence in the area to assert its claims over Taiwan. The developments signal a potentially transformative period in U.S.-China relations, with implications not only for Taiwan but for the broader geopolitical landscape in Southeast Asia. As the situation evolves, the international community watches closely, anticipating how both superpowers will navigate this critical juncture. The stakes are high, and the choices made in the coming months could redefine alliances and power structures in the region for years to come. In a significant development amid escalating U.S.-China tech competition, Chinese President Xi Jinping recently convened a rare meeting with prominent business leaders to address the challenges and opportunities posed by the ongoing rivalry. This gathering comes at a time when the global landscape for technology and critical resources is increasingly fraught with tension, particularly as the United States intensifies its strategic efforts to curtail China's influence in critical industries. The meeting, held on February 17, 2025, underscored Xi's commitment to bolstering China's technological self-sufficiency and securing its position in the global supply chain. As reported by Reuters, Xi emphasized the importance of collaboration between the government and the private sector to navigate the complex and often adversarial international landscape. "We must innovate and advance our capabilities, ensuring that Chinese businesses can thrive in the face of external pressures," Xi stated, highlighting the urgent need for unity in the face of U.S. trade policies that have increasingly targeted Chinese tech firms. This meeting is particularly noteworthy given the backdrop of a broader strategy that China has been pursuing to enhance its mineral security. As outlined in a recent report by the South China Morning Post, China is ramping up efforts to secure its supplies of rare earth minerals and other critical resources. The country has historically relied on imports for many of these materials, which are essential for high-tech manufacturing, electric vehicles, and renewable energy technologies. However, Beijing's new action plan aims to increase domestic production and processing capabilities, thereby reducing reliance on foreign sources. The urgency of this initiative is underscored by the U.S.'s pressure on Ukraine to cede its rare earth deposits as part of security guarantees. In this context, China is looking to enhance its self-sufficiency by tapping into its vast mineral reserves, which have reportedly expanded significantly in recent years. State media recently announced that China's copper reserves have increased by over 30 million tons since 2021, a figure that matches the total discoveries made in the previous decade. This surge in reserves is expected to strengthen China's manufacturing capabilities, particularly in electric power and transportation sectors. Moreover, the establishment of a 3,000-kilometer lithium mineral belt is poised to bolster China's position in the global lithium market, which is critical for the burgeoning electric vehicle industry. With estimates suggesting that this belt may contain between 20 million and 30 million tons of lithium, analysts believe this could mitigate the influence of Western mining companies on lithium prices. As China continues to expand its reserves, it has become the world's second-largest holder of lithium, a strategic asset in an increasingly electrified global economy. As the geopolitical landscape shifts, the implications of these developments extend beyond resource security. The U.S. and China are engaged in a broader economic competition that encompasses technology infrastructure and international partnerships. A recent op-ed from the National Interest highlights the intricate dynamics of U.S.-China relations in Latin America, where both nations are vying for influence. The article suggests that the competition is not a zero-sum game, as both powers seek to expand their economic footprints in a region rich in natural resources. While U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has issued warnings to Latin American leaders about their growing ties with China, the reality is that both countries are deeply invested in the region's development. China's significant investments in infrastructure and resource extraction have made it the second-largest trading partner for many Latin American nations, raising concerns among U.S. policymakers regarding the implications for regional sovereignty. Moving forward, the U.S. must reassess its approach to Latin America and other regions where competition with China is intensifying. By fostering stronger economic relationships and prioritizing development that respects local communities and environmental standards, the U.S. can counterbalance China's influence. The challenge lies in crafting a strategy that emphasizes cooperation rather than confrontation, ensuring that both nations can coexist in a rapidly evolving global landscape. As Xi Jinping's meeting with business leaders indicates, China is committed to solidifying its position in the global economy while navigating the complexities of international relations. The future will likely see a continued emphasis on securing critical resources, technological advancement, and strategic partnerships, setting the stage for an ongoing rivalry that will define global economic dynamics for years to come. As tensions escalate in the Indo-Pacific region, the military capabilities of China have become a focal point of global scrutiny. A recent report from the RAND Corporation has raised significant questions about the combat readiness of the People's Liberation Army (PLA) amidst the backdrop of extensive military modernization efforts by Beijing. While China boasts the world's largest navy and has made strides in advanced military technology, the report suggests that the PLA is more concerned with maintaining the Chinese Communist Party's CCP grip on power than preparing for potential conflicts, particularly regarding Taiwan. In a climate where analysts warn of a possible military confrontation, especially over Taiwan, the RAND report challenges the prevailing narrative that China's military advancements pose an immediate threat to the United States and its allies. According to the report, the PLA's primary focus is on internal stability rather than external warfare, with political loyalty taking precedence over actual combat efficacy. the PLA remains fundamentally focused on upholding CCP rule rather than preparing for war, the report states, underscoring that political officers often oversee military decisions and promotions hinge more on loyalty to the party than on merit. The implications of this focus are stark, particularly as the PLA has not engaged in combat since 1979, when it faced significant losses in a brief conflict with Vietnam. The lack of recent combat experience raises doubts about the PLA's ability to execute complex joint operations, a crucial requirement for success in modern warfare. Despite impressive advancements in military technology, China's ability to translate that power into effective combat operations remains unproven, the report details. Moreover, widespread corruption within the PLA has emerged as a critical issue, undermining its operational readiness. Reports suggest that deep-seated corruption has led to significant deficiencies in equipment and training, with U.S. intelligence indicating that mismanagement has resulted in missiles filled with water instead of fuel and malfunctioning missile silos. These revelations have made U.S. officials more cautious, leading them to assess that Xi Jinping is less likely to pursue major military actions in the near future due to the pervasive issues within the military. The RAND report also highlights that China's military budget, which reached $231 billion in 2024, is largely directed toward prestige projects that may not enhance operational readiness. This contrasts sharply with the U.S. military's approach, which emphasizes comprehensive operational planning and execution capabilities. No study on how China's military could defeat U.S. forces has surfaced in any academy affiliated with the Chinese military, the report notes, suggesting a lack of serious military planning for large-scale conflicts. The situation is further complicated by domestic challenges facing China, including a slowing economy and rising unemployment. As these issues mount, the PLA's role in maintaining internal security may overshadow its combat readiness, leading to a potential decrease in the likelihood of external military engagements. Analysts argue that a weakened China may prefer to avoid costly military confrontations, especially with the risk of incurring heavy casualties. In the context of Taiwan, where the CCP sees unification as a historic imperative, the RAND report suggests that while rhetoric may indicate a potential for conflict, concrete military planning for an invasion appears lacking. Chinese leaders have emphasized the goal of peaceful reunification, and without a specific timeline for military action, the PLA's readiness for an amphibious assault remains questionable. As the global community watches closely, the findings of the RAND report invite a re-evaluation of how U.S. defense planners approach the China challenge. While the need to prepare for conventional warfare remains, the report advocates for a shift in focus toward countering China's influence in non-military domains such as economic statecraft and technology competition. In conclusion, the juxtaposition of China's military modernization efforts and the internal weaknesses highlighted in the RAND report presents a complex picture. As the PLA navigates its role within the broader context of CCP governance and regional stability, the question of its readiness for war looms larger than ever. Future developments in China's military strategy, coupled with its economic and political landscape, will determine not only its domestic stability but also its posture on the global stage.